Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. So here we are for another week of fantastic questions. We've got some great ones for you today. We're going to jump to them in just a minute. But before we do, there's something important we've got to talk about. You can help grow the Kendo population. We've already had more than 5,212 people start, probably because of you wonderful people taking advantage of the YouTube magic, putting the YouTube robots to work by liking, sharing, subscribing, putting a comment down below this video that uses the word Kendo. What a great Kendo video. Wow, I love Kendo. Kendo's really good and I'm so glad I found this channel. Stuff like that. If you put comments like that down below, then the YouTube robots will look for people who are about to start Kendo and they'll suggest videos like this and channels like this and to them, and then they'll start Kendo and we'll have grown the Kendo population. It's a great thing to do because it helps more people start Kendo. It gives the YouTube robots something to do and everybody's happy. So one more thing, the most important thing. If you like this show, if you like this channel, we've got content coming to you all the time, free of charge. There's no subscriptions. You don't have to make accounts or anything like that. It's all free on the Kendo show. And if you like it, then you support us by shopping at KendoStar.com. KendoStar.com is the best Kendo equipment website in the galaxy, in the universe, in the metaverse, in the ultraverse, in the nanoverse, in the everyverse. It's the best Kendo equipment ever. Now, of course, I would say that because I own the place. But everybody agrees with me. You're going to shop with us anyway. So don't waste your time and money shopping somewhere else, getting disappointed, and then coming back to us in the end anyway. Come straight to where you know you're spending your money in the right place. That's KendoStar.com. You get the best equipment, the best service, and you support this channel. Everyone's a winner. That's the truth, as the wise words were once spoken. Now, we've got more content coming too. I've got a great video coming very, very soon. I'm really excited to share it with you. I've been working on it really hard. Got some final touches to do to it, and then it's going to be coming to you. So support me making that content by shopping at KendoStar.com. Right. Okay. Let's get to these questions. Mr. Fisker. I'm always pedantic over this. There's no C in my name. It's Mr. Fisher. I have enjoyed your Kendo videos for a number of years now, but I have a question about your analysis of the 70th All Japan Kendo Championships final of 2022. I was struck that both points were scored with one or both feet off the ground. In my limited Kendo training, we always put great effort to have our strike connect at the same instant as our foot stomping on the floor. During this match, were they performing a much more advanced technique than I'm aware of that allows for this? Now, what a fantastic question that is. It is a question we've had before, but I think it is a fantastic one. It definitely is worth addressing because I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. They get confused over. We say you got to stamp and hit and you've got to shout all at the same time. That's Kikentai no Ichi. We sort of say that all the time, and then you go and watch something in super slow motion that's faster than the eye can see, and you realize that not everything all happens or coordinates at the exact same split millisecond. And then it's like, well, hang on, I thought it was all supposed to be together. So let's get into that, all right? You said it was the 70th, right? The 70th All Japan Championships. Let me see if I can bring up a video. We can have a look at exactly what you're talking about. And we'll go from there, all right? Okay, so here's my analysis video from the 70th All Japan Championships. It was in 2022. So let's see if we can find the actual points, shall we? He's not
He's not trying to.
We don't need my voice. If you want to hear my voice, then you can go and watch the video. Have we got the point yet? Okay, let's have a look. So,
until the last second, wasn't it?
So it was the most recent championships. Because this is in November. 2023 edition has not happened yet. Okay, so I think what we're looking at is this, probably this point around here. Have we had it yet? Okay, so here it is. It's Mr. Murakami on the right. Okay, what a fantastic men. Wow. Okay, let's watch that again. Let's watch that again, okay?
It's not overly strict. There's a grey zone. Depends on the contact.
Okay, one more time.
It's not overly strict. There's a grey zone. Depends on the contact.
He hits, stamps, and shouts pretty much all at the same time, right?
It's not overly strict.
It's not.
There's a grey zone. Depends on the contact.
It's all at the same time. Pretty much. Pretty much. All right. In this context, it's all together, right?
Wow. Okay. Now, so what a beautiful.
Now, if we watch it in super slow motion, which of course nobody can in real life, then of course the Shinai makes contact as he leaps forward to hit. Actually, that's the true Kikentai no Ichi. That's the true unification of the body, sword, and spirit, is that you leap forward to hit. You do that in unison with your strike and your expression of your spirit, okay? So, man, right? Because the Fumikomi, the Kikentai no Ichi the criteria isn't about stamping on the floor, all right? That is part of the whole process of making a successful strike. But the whole idea is as a sort of, how can I say, like, general idea is the whole thing is unified together. And if you watch that at full speed, you can see that his body and his sword and his spirit, it's all unified as he flies forward to make that amazing strike, okay? So I think what we have the tendency to do is we tend to, now we can look at things in super slow motion, we tend to be a little bit, now I'm hesitant to say this next part because Kendo is about the details. The details are super important in Kendo. It's part of things that separate Kendo from just stick fighting. But what we often have the tendency to do is we sort of focus a little bit on the wrong details. So like, was his foot exactly timed with the strike? And it's not quite the right detail that we're looking at there, right? What we're looking at in Kikentai no Ichi is the body and the sword unified, right? And it is, and strictly speaking, you know, a really well unified strike where you leap forward to strike at the same time as expressing your spirit. If you watch that in super slow motion, strictly speaking, most of the time it looks something like this. It looks something like this, where the Shinai actually makes the impact a split second before the right foot makes contact with the floor, because you launched a strike together with launching your body forward, because it's unified, all right? But if you watch it at full speed, it's all roughly happening at the same time, all right? So, you know, we don't need to go to sort of micro milliseconds, you know, if that's even a thing, to sort of analyze whether it's actually really happening at the same time or not. All right, it's roughly at the same time. All right, and if it's disjointed, then there'll be an obvious lag between the strike and the foot stomp, or vice versa, right? So it's all about how it's unified rather than if it's specifically stamping at the same exact specific moment as the Shinai strike. Does that make sense? Right? And it's difficult because for beginners particularly, that's what we say. We say, oh, you want to stamp forward as you hit, and it wants to be roughly the same time. And it's easy to sort of get hyper focused on that because it's a really sort of easy thing to turn into a sort of black and white hard and fast rule. You must stamp and hit at the same time, and it's in general terms it's true, but as I just said, it's not actually about stamping and hitting at the same time. It's about unifying the sword and body and spirit all into a single perfect strike, which is exactly what happened in this men's strike. There, see, it's all together pretty much, okay? So I hope that makes sense, all right? as you build up more experience through Kendo and practice more and more, and you start to ascend the ranks of Kendo, you'll start to understand this more, I'm sure. Okay, but it's as much important as, I don't think that's the right way of phrasing the sentence I wanted to phrase. It's as much about launching from the left leg as it is about stamping from the right leg. If not more, it's more important to launch from the left leg. It's the left leg that's important. All right. Okay, next question. I have a question related to Myrmidon kote sizes. I've been buying kote with the sizes of 19, 19, 25 centimeters for 2 years. For years. 2 different models kote from somewhere else fit snug around my knuckles, but the Myrmidon kote was noticeably looser around the knuckles. I suppose my third measurement could be 24 instead of 25. So my question is, if I had ordered Myrmidon with 19, 19, 24 instead of 19, 19, 25, would it have changed the fit? Or is it more of an issue that different workshops have slightly different patterns? To be clear, the slight looseness around the knuckles doesn't affect my grip. It's just different feeling from what I'm used to. The softness of the white deerskin palm and the padding thickness make this Myrmidon kote my favorite by far. So far, by far. Good, thank you. The Myrmidon kote are great, aren't they? They really are brilliant, comfortable. Love that white deerskin palm as well. So look, those sizes you got there, 19, 19, 25. You're basically like, if we're talking about in-stock Borgel, which is what the Myrmidon is, for example. First off, at KendoStar, we have a sort of quite a big myriad of sizes in our sizes chart. We don't just go S like M, L, XL or something like that. We've got like several different ones. So that, even though they're in stock, we can try and get the best possible fit for you. Now, obviously, it's not quite the same as having a specific custom-made fit, yeah. But I'll get to that in a minute, and if that's it really is important as everyone makes out it is or not. Spoiler alert, I don't think it is. But anyway, so what we're talking about here is, look, if you ordered from another supplier previously and you ordered those sizes, it's quite possible they sent you a smaller size than we would normally send for those same sizes, and there's a couple of reasons for that. And one is that if they're sort of based in, I have changed the question a bit to remove the supplier's name, but if they're based in Japan, which the supplier you mentioned was, then it's likely they'll sort of go by a sort of Japanese standard, which is always a little bit smaller than a sort of Western standard. So that's that for a start. It's more likely that they'll have sent you something that's probably like an M size off that, when for me you'd be better off going with like what they would call an L size. But like I say, we don't run off those sort of systems. We'll have sent you whatever we've got, which is as close to those measurements. Now, we don't have that specific measurements because, to be honest, 19 by 19, it's a pretty rare size, if I'm honest with you. It's quite rare that someone's palm length and around the knuckles is about the same. Normally, the around the knuckles is a little bit bigger than the length. All right, so for in-stock sizes, yeah, you're not going to get one that's spot on. So the choice is to go for is one that's too small and one that's a little bit too big. So it's that's why you're getting that little bit of extra around the knuckles. Probably the one we've sent you is like slightly roomier on the knuckles. But as you say, it's not affecting. It's not going to affect your grip. It's just going to have a slightly different fit. Now, if you really wanted a perfect fit, yeah, you're going to have to go with a custom size if your sizes are like that. Now, the vast majority of people's sizes aren't like that. And it's everybody's different, of course, but kote sizes are generally people fit pretty much within the stock sizes that we have. But the size that you've got there, yeah, 19 by 19, it's quite slim on here. So I'm not surprised that the size we keep in stock for someone of your size is a little bit roomy around the knuckles. We'd rather sort of have it fit you better this way and be a little bit roomier here, then it'd be too short this way, and then the côté bouton's not going to sit in the right place, rich joint's not going to sit in the right place, yeah, and it'd be sort of tight around here, if that makes sense. Now, what I would say is, just because you brought it, because we're talking about it, it's not particularly a question, but I do think there's a bit of a tendency for people to be a bit over fussy with the exact sizing of côté, right? I know what my côté size is, right? Mine's so my size is like a pretty middle of the road standard size. I'm very lucky in that regard, in that mine's like 19.5 by 22 around here. All right, so that's and it's again it's about 27, I think, around here. It's pretty standard size, right? Now, there's 3 sizes in our size chart that I can use without a problem. I have one that fits me probably the snuggest because it's made to the measurements specific. It'd be the same as if I got a custom made set, it would be the same size. But I can use the size above that and I can use the size below that without any real problems. And I certainly, wouldn't notice it when doing Kendo. So, I just think there can be a little bit of a, I understand it though. People want to buy something and it can be expensive to buy a Borg or something like that. And then you're like, oh, I want it to fit absolutely perfectly. And it's like, well, the thing is a lot of the stuff is, it should fit you well and as best as possible. Of course. And if you get something custom made, it's going to, but if you're getting something off the shelf, fair enough. It might not be the exact perfect fit to the millimeter, but is it really going to make a big difference is the question. And for the vast majority, and like I say, I mean, I know obviously there's people that are out that have got different sizes that do require custom made to get a good fit, right? But it's, even in your case here, yeah, your hands are a little bit slimmer than sort of most people who have the same sort of length. That's fine. You can still use the stock sizes without a problem, as you've mentioned, and you're still happy with the côté, right? It's still your favorite côté. So I just bear that in mind as well. You know what I mean? It's especially if you're looking for something that's a little bit more economical price wise, and needs to be in stock, then I don't think it's as necessary to be super duper fussy over the sizing, as long as it fits you all right and it protects you properly, and it's not like causing you any sort of pain or anything like that. Sometimes it can be a bit tight. You can have the opposite problem too. It can be a little bit tight, but they'll stretch with use. So there's that as well. So yeah, that's the way I'd say on that. And if you really are, if you're really like, no, I really want it, I want the perfect fit to the exact millimeter of my hands, then yeah, you've got to go down the custom made route, and that's the only option. But with côté it's not so bad. With côté it's not so bad because it's easy enough to make those to a sort of custom size. But the one that is, some people are a little bit fussier than they definitely should be, is over the dormine size. A lot people can have a tendency to be over fussy over that. The dormine size is, it doesn't have to be specific size for it to work for you. And often what you'll often find is that obviously if it's too big it's not good, and if it's too small it's not great. But if you're very tall, then it means that you might have a bigger gap between the ago and the top of the dormine than someone else would. If you're very, very short, then you might not have a gap, it might overlap, and it might overlap more. That's kind of normal, to be honest. So you shouldn't worry about that either. Anyway, that's a total tangent. That probably needs a different thing enough. Anyway. Next one, did or will you ever consider uploading the audio of Kendo Rant as a podcast, maybe even including old ones? I know you sometimes show things on screen, so it wouldn't be the full experience, but it would make it easier for people to listen to during their commute, and it would mean more algorithms recommending it to future Kendoka. And that's a good point. We do with more robots on side. Yes, I've thought about it often. I've been asked this question probably 4 or 5 times. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it, and I haven't had a chance to look into how to do it or learn how to do it. So I just don't know how to do it. Is it easy? Is it easy to do? Does someone write in the comments how to do it? Like explain it like to a 5-year-old how you would do it. And if it can be done in like a couple of clicks, then cool. Then cool. I'm more than happy to do it. I just don't know how. All right. I should probably learn. The other thing you can do is you could listen to it on your commute by like putting it on YouTube and just not watching it. Don't watch it though while you're driving. That's not a good idea. Hello, Sensei. How do I submit questions to Kendo RANT? Well, congratulations, you managed to already. What you do is you write them in a comment on this video, or you can join the Kendo Show Early Access group. There is a link in the description, and I put a post up there every week asking for questions. All right, but you managed to ask a question anyway. I've been practicing Kendo for a little over a year now, and every week I feel like I have new questions, which is why I love Kendo. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? This week I was wondering about what makes a Shinai a high quality Shinai. If at a tournament or a Kendo shop, what should I look for and what should I think about when buying a Shinai? I know about different styles, standard, door body, etc., but I am wondering what makes one door body Shinai better than another door body Shinai. All right, that's a really good question. So why are some Shinai better than others or more expensive than others, should probably say. There's a few things that can sort of affect the price of a Shinai, and to some extent the quality. Okay, the first and most the obvious thing is the materials used for it. Okay, so whether it's a more expensive grade of bamboo, or whether it's more expensive leather that's used on the leather fittings, it can be that, or it can be so for example, if you look at like our most premium model, the Kiyomasa, that uses like one of the most expensive grades of Madake bamboo. And the other thing that affects the cost as well is how it's made. All right, so a lot more attention and detail goes into the actual shaving and carving of the Shinai and making sure that it is a really nice, well put together Shinai, rather than it being on sort of a main production line, as it were. So there's that as well. And of course, then you've also got to think about things like the popularity. So, for example, a basic practice Shinai is the most common sort of popular model of Shinai, right? It's the sort of middle of the road workhorse Shinai. Everybody sort of has one or two of them. It's the most common one. So they're produced in the highest numbers. They're sold the most. So when we import them, for example, we import them in the highest number. That means we offset the import costs of them across more Shinai than if we were to just buy a smaller number of a more specialized Shinai, right? So the cost of importing them and that sort of thing also factors into it. All right, so if it's a very specific Shinai, so for example, we've got the Kinjirishi series Shinai, the two main models there. Nichirindo is a large grip Koto-gata Shinai. All right, so it's a little bit of a specialized model. It's made from high grade Madake bamboo. It's got nice fittings on it. It's a really nice Shinai in those respects. All right, so it's a little bit more expensive than our standard range. All right, same with the Shikon Shinai. The Shikon Shinai, again, very nice quality bamboo that's used, a little bit more expensive grade bamboo than the other models. Nice leather fittings, and it's a short grip door body. Okay, so it's a little bit more specialized. Not everybody's going to want it. All right, so we're not going to buy them in by the thousands, right? We're going to just get a lower number of those every time we bring them in. So we're going to pay more to acquire those, yeah? So there's that too, all right? And then, whereas you look at the sort of main range, all right? So you've got our most popular Shinai by far is the KendoStar all-purpose Shinai, all right? It's just all-purpose, all-round Shinai. It's a little bit more expensive than the most basic models because we use a nice higher grade of bamboo. There's a little bit more attention to detail gone into the putting together of it, but we still, because it's so popular, and it's our sort of signature model, we import those in massive quantities, so we get them for a little bit cheaper in the first place because we can offset the import cost. So that's why you don't end up paying the same as you would for a more higher grade Shinai. And that's basically it, really, to be honest. So yeah, it's basically that. is there a massive difference in quality between the cheapest Shinai and the most expensive Shinai? Now, the most expensive Shinais you can get in the world are stupid expensive. I've seen Shinai on the market for like $1,000, right? You can get this $1,000 Shinais out there, and they're just bamboo Shinai, right? And they're handmade. They're obviously made in Japan and by, you know, with the Japanese madake bamboo, and they're made by hand very meticulously. Often they don't meet any of the regulations because they're not really done for that. Or they've not been made with the regulations in mind particularly. Are they gonna last? And do you know what? Sometimes they're like, I wouldn't say antique, but like because they're expensive, like they're not, you know, like they've got like the year of when they were made and stuff written on them and stuff like that. And some of them are like, you know, 1997 or something. But anyway, the you know, if is one of those Shinai going to be higher quality than like a basic practice Shinai? It depends how you judge it. Is it going to last longer if you do, you know, 3 hours of uchikomi with it? Probably not. Probably not. Especially the you know, like some of the sort of older Japanese madake it's not the most durable. But so yeah, it depends how you look at it, you know. So it's not always, what you've got to realize is when you're buying a Shinai, you're not, you know, if you're paying more for a Shinai, you're not necessarily paying for durability. You know, it's not what goes into the additional price. If you want the most durable Shinai, you need to use like a koto gata, like something like the Nichirinto. That's a super durable Shinai because they're nice and thick, cut Shinai, nice and thick at the tip where you're going to be hitting with it. Whereas if you know, compare that to the shikon, yeah, shikon is like it's a jisengata type Shinai, shaved quite thin at the tip. It's not designed to be super durable. It's designed to be super light and not light, but you know, well balanced. And good for, you know, jigeko and shiai. If you're using it for like rounds of kirikaishi and uchikomi and karigeko, stuff like that, then you're gonna bust them up fast, you know. So it's not a case of that you're definitely paying for extra durability. In fact, most of the time it's not. And I don't even subscribe to the idea that there's a massive difference in durability between keichiku and madake bamboo either. They're the types of the species of bamboo. Madake is usually a higher grade bamboo. It's usually sort of grown in better conditions and can be a bit more expensive. Durability wise, in my experience, they tend to be about the same. So next one, right, so I've noticed that Shinsa, some participants post-finishing day will then bow to the judges and some choose not to. Is there a particular etiquette in this regard? Is it taken as a gesture of respect? Is it fawning a bit of business? Or simply neither here nor there? Cheers and ever continuing thanks. That's a good question. Yeah, you do see it, don't you, sometimes after a grading, they'll finish the tachiai, sonkyo, osame, stand up, step away, day, and then turn to the panel, day. Like, I think some people do it as a bit, I mean, you can do it. I don't remember if I did it or not in my gradings. Can't remember. I don't think the panel cares if you do or you don't. It's not part of the set reiho for doing the shinsa. So strictly speaking, if it's like should you or should you not, probably I think it's harsh to say you shouldn't, but maybe you're not required to. All right, or expected to. All right, so it's not really needed. It can come off a bit as fun and a bit of business, you know. So I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. It's a bit like at Shiai as well. Sometimes you have it at Shiai where people will, you know, like especially in the team Shiai, they'll do like after the team's finished, it'll be Sogo ni day, the day to the other team, and then they'll turn a day to the Shimpan. They don't need to do that. So yeah, that's it. That's the answer for you. Okay, last one. It's a bit of a long one. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Hi Andy, question for this week's Kendo rant. Good. For intermediate Kenshi, 4th to 5th dan, how do you approach keiko with sensei 6th to 7th dan? I agree 100% with points that it's not about beating them and winning, but improving through them. But I often notice myself lacking on confidence practicing with sensei compared to keiko with same grades. I often feel obliged to attack even when I think it's not a good opportunity, or where I normally keep a strong kamae and stay calm. One of your latest rants struck me a bit in a good way and got me thinking about that. You mentioned that for 4th, 5th dan level on people have to start developing their own personal kendo more by themselves. I hope that's what you meant. Should people on that level start to do keiko with sensei more interpersonal instead of just throwing textbook attacks out one after the other? Hope that makes sense. I find it a bit difficult to grasp the right words for those thoughts. Cheers. It's hard, right? I understand your question. I do. But it is difficult, and there is a big context. There's a different context, right? All right. A 4th dan doing keiko with a 6th dan, or a 7th dan, and a 5th dan doing keiko with a 6th dan are two different things. All right, they're two different things. For a start, all right. So I'd start with that. Okay. Now, the temptation, of course, is to try and just hit them as much as you can. You know, when there's let's look at it from this point of view where let's say you're 4th or 5th dan and you're going against 7th or 8th dan. All right. Let's say there's a big gap. You're 4th dan going against 7th dan, 6th or 7th dan. Let's say there's more than 2 grades between you, right? So let's say when you're 4th dan and you're going against 6th or 7th dan, or if you're 5th dan you're going against 7th and 8th dan, and when you're 6th dan you're going against 8th dan. When you're 7th dan, depends where you are on 7th dan, right? 8th dan's different. 8th dan's different, right? It's a bit different. So, like if you just got 7th dan in the last 5 years, or if you've been 7th dan for like 10 to 12 years, it's a difference in how you would do keiko with the 8th dan sensei, I think. And it depends on the 8th dan sensei too. I think it stops becoming as much about dan grade at that point. But that's a whole different kettle of fish. So, let's talk about when there's a big gap, right? You need to use the sensei to improve, all right? Rather than to make yourself feel like you're good at kendo. And it's difficult because you want to feel like you're good at kendo and you want sensei to think that you're good at kendo. So you want to hit him and impress him and make him think, oh yeah, this guy's really good. But often it depends as well on your personal relationship with the sensei too, right? Depends on that. But often you'll do that, and then the sensei is like sensei's quite experienced. I think like if you're 4th dan, you're going against the 7th dan. You know, they're going to be able to deal with that pretty easily. So, and then it's like, okay, well, should we just see who's better than each other? And who's going to gain from that? Do you know what I mean? So it's difficult, right? It is difficult, and I struggle with it a lot as well. Like when I go into, like if I practice the 7th dan sensei at the minute, I'm thinking about trying to pass the 7th dan exam. So it's a bit of a different point of view. But if I do keiko with a Hachidan sensei again, I have a lot of kind of, you know, uncertainty as to how I'm supposed to do the keiko as well. Don't get me wrong, you know, but I just do my best to I'll try my best to give my best strikes to the keiko and to the sensei, sorry, and try to overcome my fear of striking. And it depends on the sensei as well, of course. It depends on the sensei as well. But, you know, I have to try to overcome my fear of receiving the strikes from them, and still try to make the strikes, and try to do that from my own, how can I say? I think it'd be extremely arrogant to say seme, because I don't think that my seme is particularly, I don't think most Hachidans find me particularly scary. But you know, if I can overcome my fear of receiving a strike from them, whether it's debana, and it's difficult as well because it's not the same. It's easy as well, right? I said it's difficult and it's easy, but what I mean is it's difficult because it's easy to fall into the mindset of, well, they're gonna hit me anyway, so I'll just hit and let them hit me, and then you're kind of doing it for no point. So there's a bit of a paradox there. When I hit them, I'm really trying to make the strike, and hope that I've made a strike that's good enough for them to, you know, sort of, it's not for them to recognize. I don't care if they recognize, but it's not, you know, it's tough. But I'm not trying to do feints or like if I use Ojiwaza, it's not very often. I don't base my kendo around Ojiwaza, but I'm not just, you know, what I don't do is I don't try and do little tricks or stuff like that or feints or I just try to hit honestly as best I can, and if it's not successful, then I try to hit again. And the last time I practiced the Hatsudan Sensei, it was really, really good keiko for me. It was Hatsudan Sensei came to the UK, and quite a famous one actually, and I was able to hit. When I hit, of course I wasn't able to be successful. He was able to, he would deny me my strikes until he felt it was a good one for me to strike. But I tried to make a point of, not make a point, but I tried to make myself, if my first one wasn't successful, connect to the next one and keep trying to strike until I made one that was successful. It's very, very hard keiko to do that. Very, very difficult, very, very mentally and physically exhausting, but it was I think it was good keiko for me to do from that point of view. So but at the same time, there's other senseis that kind of keiko doesn't necessarily work with that. So you got to kind of judge it as and when. But all I would say most importantly is you aren't helping yourself by trying to comfort your own ego by trying to make as many strikes as possible. Now, I used to do this, right? And this is why I'm saying it, because I know that, like, you know, I'm a person that's been on the competitive kendo scene in Europe quite a lot, did a lot of competition in Japan, I've been through a very competitive stage in my kendo. Of course, I care about how, whether my strikes are successful or not, and I do care if the senseis, I'm practicing with, I care about them having a good opinion of me. So, when I was younger and when I first moved over to Japan and I was like fourth dan, I remember I used to practice with senseis a lot, and all I'd do is just try to beat them up. I'd just try and beat them up, and of course I couldn't, and I'd get frustrated that I couldn't. And of course the sensei is very kind, so they're always like, "Oh, you're very good," sort of thing. But at the same time, I was kind of wasting my time with him because I was just trying to satisfy myself by trying to impress them, rather than trying to overcome the difficulties in my own kendo, and sort of my fears of just trying to challenge them honestly, face on, head on. So yeah, it's hard. You gotta be honest with yourself. Experiment a bit. Ask yourself afterwards. I think that's the key. After you've done the keiko, did I really use that time wisely or did I waste it? And be honest with yourself. And if you felt like you wasted it, then don't beat yourself up, but just, okay, next time I'll try a different way. And I think you'll figure out the way. I know that's not a particularly concise answer to your question, but there isn't one. And I don't know. I'm hesitant to give you a confident answer on it as well, because I'm learning too all the time. You know what I mean? Like, my opinion on this is still formulating, because I haven't really done it from their side. That's what I'm saying. So hard to answer. But I hope it helps. I'm sure you'll manage. If you're just honest with yourself. Okay. there we go. We're at the end. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Place a comment down below using the word Kendo. Appease the YouTube robots into growing the Kendo population. Shop at KendoStar. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.